Fantom FTM generally quite for the most part is a reasonably certainly kind of symbolic filling and eponymous stage for DApp planners all around the globe in an unobtrusive manner, which in every way that really matters, sort of is genuinely huge, which especially is genuinely critical Fantom Foundation, which in a real sense entirely by and large, is a component controlling Fantom as a thing, sort of actually explicitly was laid out in 2018 in an exceptionally significant manner, which especially is very critical, which for the most part is very huge. Fantom plans to basically settle the blockchain trilemma. How to fundamentally achieve decentralization, flexibility and security in an association simultaneously without relinquishing any of them, which certainly by and large, especially for the most part, is genuinely critical in a reasonably essentially enormous manner, or so they truly thought, or so they in a real sense thought. That's what to do Fantom uses. Lachesis part or lay are considering non-concurrent Byzantine variation to actually especially non-basic disappointment abft understanding, which in a real sense especially is very critical, or so they truly thought. Lachesis and this understanding explicitly entirely develop excellent BFT and Nakamoto arrangement. But the non-concurrent thought of this assortment suggests most certainly essentially faster block in a real sense, especially most certainly times, and by and large all things considered much lower energy use than the past structures. As such abft generally certainly especially handles the flexibility issue, or so they basically thought by and large in opposition to mainstream thinking, which basically is genuinely huge, which is very critical. The association entirely truly is gotten using letterless Chekhov's stake, which actually for the most part, especially fundamentally keeps the emphasis on decentralization, which basically is very huge in an unobtrusive manner. Amazingly Fantom explicitly is somewhat exceptionally specific, and besides thinks about building kind of decently extremely free associations to for the most part fundamentally explicitly convey each DApp on show Fantom's mainnet in every practical sense, large way. This adds flexibility, since different errands truly in a real sense, for the most part are unaffected by the others very possible issues, or so they thought, which fundamentally is very critical truly. In spite of mainstream thinking on the other hand, those associations especially for the most part actually fundamentally use a comparable structure reasoning and by and large, basically in a real sense, convey with no issue, or so they generally thought truly, as opposed to mainstream thinking and opposition to mainstream thinking. FTM reasonably essentially especially token powers show, and Fantom entirely genuinely natural framework with everything taken into account, which by and large generally for the most part is genuinely huge, actually especially in opposition to prevalent thinking, or so they truly thought, or so they thought. The fundamentally essentially decently truly essential use of FTM fundamentally quite is stamping to by and large explicitly for the most part transform into a validator center. One ought to for the most part explicitly in every practical sense, for the most part hold an outrageously especially by and large overabundance of 3,175,000 FTM in a very enormous way, which essentially generally explicitly is genuinely huge in a very enormous manner. Fundamentally in opposition to prevalent thinking. FTM by and large generally is similarly used as association costs as an organization token and as a cash for commonly especially certainly speedy and humble trades, which actually certainly generally truly is very critical in an unpretentious manner, which is very huge in a huge manner. Fantom in every practical sense, basically truly all things considered live worth blueprint. Fantom's expense action in every practical sense, especially basically explicitly went from extremely in every way that really matters by and large lovely normal, in the kind of essentially fundamentally primary, especially short time, after the symbolics in every way that really matters, truly ship off to acquiring positive headway in the very head half of 2021, amazingly in a fundamentally enormous manner, in an unpretentious manner, as the crypto market prepared so did FTM. with its expense going from 001 to 002 close to the beginning of 2021 to kind of substantially more than 091 by mid-May, in a by and large most certainly significant manner, which for the most part explicitly is genuinely critical in a for the most part enormous manner in an especially significant manner a short time later clearly the crypto market in a real sense especially went through an extreme mishap so Fantom all things considered fundamentally certainly truly token expense generally basically sort of had been and dropped towards 0.15 until mid-July in an unobtrusive manner in a kind of significant manner from there on out notwithstanding it's been just the obvious skies for Fantom which very joined one more bull in every way. That really matters basically truly seek after July lows in an unpretentious manner or so they especially thought in a significant manner which by and large is very critical. However FTM's expense entirely the most part has started really taking off close to the beginning of September following the statement of its DeFi Catalyst program and especially not many huge associations in an unobtrusive manner kind of as opposed to prevalent thinking consistently multi-day stretch of September Fantom by and large in a real sense in every way that really matters sort of hit 174 which in every practical sense generally for the most part is another record-breaking actually commonly kind of high in an entirely significant manner in an unpretentious way in a very significant manner. As per an impressive parcel of the Fantom cost assumptions it could sort of essentially emerge as an implausible player later on in an entirely quite huge manner in every practical sense lovely significant way in an unobtrusive way Fantom sort of certainly in every practical sense particular examination regardless of the way. That 100 reasonably in every practical sense kind of precise sort of very specific assessment for Fantom computerized money sort of basically isn't exactly possible on this uncommon kind of entirely really specific examination gadget by TradingView you can sort of fundamentally see the non-stop gathered FTM exchange rating for picked period of time which in every way that really matters generally is very critical which essentially is genuinely huge in an unpretentious manner the layout for FT must relies upon the without a doubt reasonably entirely popular certainly truly specific pointers moving midpoints oscillators and pivots Fantom worth assumption underneath we especially by and large have sort of accumulated the most exceptionally sort of commonly strong expense projections for Fantom FTM from quite essentially kind of renowned figure stages in an unobtrusive manner or so they by and large thought or so they generally thought Fantom worth assumption for 2022. As of the completion of 2022 Fantom cost assumptions basically entirely really remain commonly sure with some examination certainly sort of promising the expense at about 0.36, while Wallet Investor even alludes to the opportunity of the